Today we're going to solve the system of equations by elimination part 1. Now in the last assignment you noticed that we were trying to find a point, a common point between two equations by graphing. Now sometimes graphing is unreliable because all graphs are not printed the same, so the spacers are a little different. When you're drawing the line, some draw thicker lines, some draw thinner lines, and they might be a little off, so it's not 100% accurate. So what I'm going to show you now is how to get 100% accuracy here on what to do and how to solve these systems. So again, a system, solve the system means two equations, more than one equation, I'm sorry. More than one. In this case, we have two equations, 1, 2. So we're going to eliminate. It says by elimination. So we're going to eliminate one variable. Now, if you notice, look what I'm going to do first. I'm going to draw a line under both equations like that. Now, remember, opposites always cancel out. A -4 cancels with a +4. A -32 cancels with a +32. A -4x cancels with a +4x. A -99x cancels with a +99x. A -100y cancels with a +100y. So, looking at this equation, which cancel? The x's or the y's? Now, if you notice, you're going to see that the x's cancel. A -3y and a +3y are opposites, so they cancel out. So I can cross those out just like that. Now, I add or subtract down. A +4 and a -3, they're different signs. So 4 minus 3 is 1y. What kind of one? Well, a +1 because 4 is bigger and 4 is positive. I bring down my equal sign. A -23 and a +1 are different signs. So 23 minus 21 is 2. What kind of 2? Well, negative because 23 is bigger and 23 is negative, right? So one more step here. I cross out my 1, and this is 1 times y, so the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So I get y is equal to -2. So there's my first solution there. Remember, in the graph that we did, we were solving for a graph. We found our answers as x comma y. It was a point, x comma y. So we found our y. Perfect. We found our y. But now we need to find our x. So let's see what this instruction says here. Step 2, bring over the simpler equations. So you see these two equations here? Top equation, bottom equation. To you, which of these two is more simple? I think the bottom one is more simple. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to bring this bottom equation over here. So I'm going to say 3x. I have no idea what my x is. So I'm going to say 3x minus 3y equals 21. Perfect. I brought it over, right? Step 3, plug in known variable and solve. So what variable, what letter do we already have? We already have y. So let's plug in y right there. So 3x minus 3 parentheses for the y, and it's -2, is equal to 21. So I multiply these two, -3, I draw my line of separation here. -3 times -2 is +6. Now I got to move this 6 over. So I cross out positive 6 and I say minus 6. 21 minus 6 is 15. Now, you see my 3x here? I still have that, like that. So to get rid of 3, I cross out 3 and I divide by 3. And I get x is equal to 15 divided by 3 is 5. Right? So now I have my x and I have my y. So I'm going to write them like this. X, comma, y. X is 5, comma, y is negative 2. Now this is my answer right there. There we go. So that is the first type of problem you're going to see in this activity. The second type of problem you're going to see, it says here in parentheses, multiply one equation by negative 1. And I'm going to show you why that is the case. So remember here, negative 3x cancels with positive 3x, right? Negative 3x cancels with positive 3x. Opposites cancel. Negative 3x, positive 3x. They cancel out. So if you see here, do we see any opposites, right? These are not opposites. 3y and 3y are not opposite. They're exactly the same thing. So in order to make this top equation, or the bottom one, to be honest with you, in order to make one of them negative so they can cancel, I'm going to multiply the bottom one here by negative 1. Remember, when you multiply something by negative 1, it makes everything the opposite. So negative 1 times 3x is negative 3x. Negative 1 times positive 3y is negative 3y. Equals negative 1 times positive 21 is negative 21. And there you go. Look at that. This equation is now gone because we changed it to that. This one is still there, so I'm going to bring it down like this. Negative 1x, right? There's an invisible 1 here, so I'm going to put it here. Plus 3y equals negative 15. Now I'm going to draw my line, just like that. Now, look, negative 3y and positive 3y cancel out. So, negative 3 and negative 1, they're the same sign, so I don't have to add. 3 plus 1 is 4x. 3 is bigger and 3 is a negative, so 4 is going to be a negative here. I bring down, these cancel, that bring down my equal sign. Negative 21 and negative 15 are the same sign, so I'm going to add them. 21 plus 15 is 36. 21 is negative and 21 is bigger, so the answer is negative as well. So I'm going to bring down my line of separation. I'm going to solve for x here. So I cross out negative 4 because I'm multiplying by negative 4. The opposite of multiplying is dividing by negative 4. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. 36 divided by 4 is 9. Look at that. So I have my x. Remember, I am looking for x, comma, y. So I have my x part, but now I need my y part. So step 2. Step 2 says bring the simpler equation over. Which one of these is more simple? I think the bottom one is more simple. So I'm going to bring this bottom one over here. Negative 1x plus 3y is equal to negative 15. So step 3 says plug in known variable and solve. Well, I know it's known. I know that x is equal to 9. So I'm going to put 9 right there where that x is with a parentheses. Parentheses 9. Plus 3y, write the rest of it, is equal to negative 15. So I'm going to draw my line of separation there. Negative 1 times 9 is negative 9. I immediately have to move this negative 9 over here. The opposite of minus 9 is plus 9. Now I still have my 3y here like that. Negative 15 and positive 9 are not the same sign, so I subtract. 15 minus 9 is 6. And 15 is bigger and 15 is a negative, so my 6 is a negative as well. So to get y by itself here, I'm going to cross out 3, and since I'm multiplying by 3, the inverse or the opposite is dividing by 3. A negative divided by a positive is a negative. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So look at that. Now I have my y. X, y, x, y. So my answer is x is 9, y is negative 2. And there you go. There you go. So let's do some examples here. So let me do an example of the first kind where there's no need to multiply. They just cancel out right there. Boom, look. As soon as I look at them, negative 3x, positive 3x, cancel them out. I knew. So let's do an example just like that. Let me make sure everything's lined up here. Yes. All right. So I'm already going to draw my line under the equations because look, positive 4x and negative 4x, I know they're going to cancel. So look what I'm going to do. I'm going to cross them out already. Look at that. Gone. Now I only have y left. Negative 5 and negative 4 are the same sign, so I'm going to add. 5 plus 4 is 9y. 5 is bigger than 4, and 5 is negative, so that means that the 9 is negative as well. 46 plus 8, they're both positive, so I'm just going to add. 46 plus 8 is 54. Now, to solve for y here, get y by itself. This is negative 9 times y, so I'm going to cross out negative 9. The opposite, or the inverse of multiplying, is division, dividing by negative 9. A positive divided by a negative is a negative. 54 divided by 9 is 6. So I have my y part. Remember, my answer's got to be in, write it over here, down here. My answer's got to be in x, comma, y form. So I have my y already. Perfect. Now I'm going to find my x. So what was step 2? Step 2 says bring over the simpler equation. Which one of these two to you is more simple? Now let me make a note. It does not matter which one you choose, because whichever one you choose will give you the correct answer if you do the math right. So to me, the top one is more simple. So I'm going to bring over the top one. 4x minus 5y is equal to 46. Okay? Step 3 says plug in known variable and solve. So what do I already know? Well, I already know that y is equal to negative x. So I'm going to plug in negative x right there where the y is. So 4x minus 5 parentheses negative 6 is equal to 46. So I'm going to draw my line of separation here. I'm going to multiply these two. Negative 5 times negative 6 is a positive 30. Now I'm immediately going to move this positive 30 over here. So the opposite of plus 30 is minus 30. So 46 minus 30 is 16. 16, positive 16, right? 46 is bigger. Now you see this 4x? I still have it, so I'm going to bring it down like this. So this is 4 times x, so the opposite of multiplying, so I'm going to cross out 4. And my goal is to get x here. The opposite of multiplying is dividing by 4. 16 divided by 4 is 4. So look at that. I have my x and I have my y. So my final solution is x is 4, y is negative 6. So if I graph these two equations, just like I did in the previous lesson, if I graph them, they would cross right there. No mistakes, no guessing, no wide lines, no thin lines, no trying to figure out where the point is in the graph. Boom, you get the exact answer. Okay? One more example of what it's going to look like on Delta Math. This time we're going to do an example of the second kind where we have to multiply by 1. Multiply one equation by negative 1, excuse me. Negative 1. So let's take a look here. Now, nothing is going to cancel. Nothing is going to cancel, right? These don't cancel, these don't cancel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply one of the equations by negative 1. So I'm going to multiply this top equation here by negative 1. So this negative 1 is going to make this negative x a positive x. So I'm going to make it a positive 1x. I'm going to write the 1 there. This negative 1 is going to make the positive 3y a negative 3y. And this negative 1 is going to make this negative 15 a positive 15. So this equation, I changed it to that. So there's no need to have that one there. Now this one is exactly the same, but I'm not going to rewrite it because look, they're already on top of each other. So I'm going to draw my line there. And look what happens here. Positive 3y, negative 3y, boom, gone. Canceled. 3x plus 1x is 4x is equal to 21 plus 15 is 36. So I want to solve for x here. I want to get x by itself. So this is 4 times x, so the opposite of multiplying is dividing by 4. 36 divided by 4 is 9. Look at that. Now remember, my final answer is going to be an x, comma, y form. So we have x already. Look at that. We found x. But now we need to find y. So remember, step 2 was find the simpler equation. Which one of these is more simple to you? I think the bottom one is more simple. So I'm going to draw over the bottom one. 1x minus 3y is equal to 15. So step 3 says plug in known variable. Well, I know x is equal to 9. So if x is equal to 9, I'm going to put 9 right there where x is. So 1 parentheses 9 minus 3y is equal to 15. So I'm going to draw my line of separation here. My goal is to get y by itself. 1 times 9 is 9. I'm immediately going to bring that 9 over to this positive 9 over to 15. So the opposite of positive 9 is minus 9. 15 minus 9 is 6. You see this negative 3y here? That's still there. Negative 3y. Now this is negative 3 times y, so the opposite of multiplying by negative 3 is dividing by negative 3. A positive divided by a negative is a negative. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Y is equal to negative 2. So I have my x, I have my y. So I'm going to write x, my x is 9. My y is negative 2. And there we go. So these are the kinds of problems you're going to see in this assignment with this is sticky here. Solve the system of equations by elimination, part 1. There you go.